Well, we've made it to Ecclesiastes chapter 9, and today we're going to talk about a couple of themes of life and death. Solomon kind of explores some of the major themes that brings together some of the major themes that he's already talked about: life, its unpredictability, the certainty of death, the pursuit of wisdom, and different things like that. The comedian Woody Allen said, I'm not afraid of death, I just don't want to be there when it happens. Unless Jesus returns in our lifetimes, we will all one day face death. We'll leave this battlefield for a better land, and we have to be ready. So in Ecclesiastes 9, he talks about life and death and some other things like that. Indeed, I took this all to heart and explained it all. The righteous, the wise, and their works are in God's hands. People don't know whether to expect love or hate. Everything lies ahead of them. Everything is the same for everyone. There is one fate for the righteous and the wicked, for the good and the bad, for the clean and the unclean, for the one who sacrifices and the one who does not sacrifice. As it is for the good, so it also is for the sinner. As it is for the one who takes an oath, so also for the one who fears an oath. This is an evil, in all that is done under the sun. There is one fate for everyone. In addition, the hearts of people are full of evil, and madness is in their hearts while they live. After that, they go to the dead. But there is hope for whoever is joined with all the living, since a live dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they will die, but the dead don't know anything. There's no longer a reward for them, because the memory of them is forgotten. Their love, their hate, and their envy have already disappeared, and there's no longer a portion for them in all that is done under the sun. Go eat your bread with pleasure, drink your wine with a cheerful heart, for God has already accepted your works. Let your clothes be white all the time, and never let oil be lacking on your head. Enjoy life with the wife you love all the days of your fleeting life, which has been given to you under the sun, all your fleeting days. For that is your portion in life and in your struggle under the sun. Whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your strength, because there is no work, planning, knowledge, or wisdom in Sheol where you are going. Again, I saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, or the battle to the strong, or the bread to the wise, or riches to the discerning, or favor to the skillful. Rather, time and chance happen to all of them. For certainly no one knows his time. Like fish caught in a cruel net, or like birds caught in a trap, so people are trapped in an evil time as it suddenly falls on them. I have observed that this also is wisdom under the sun, and it is significant to me. There was a small city with few men in it. A great king came against it, surrounded it, and built large siege works against it. Now a poor wise man was found in the city, and he delivered the city by his wisdom, yet no one remembered that poor man. And I said, wisdom is better than strength, but the wisdom of the poor man is despised, and his words are not heeded. The calm words of the wise are heeded more than the shouts of a ruler over fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner can destroy much good. So he talks first about death as a certainty. Death is a part of life, and it's a part of life that we don't like to talk about. We don't like to discuss. In fact, we use a lot of other terms for it. Pushing up daisies, passed away, gone to a better place, passed on. All kinds of different words that we use for it to kind of avoid talking about death. Someone once said, "Oh, why do people waste their breath inventing dainty names for death?" Solomon here is facing his own mortality. He's near the end of his life, and he's tackling the certainty of death as a fact of life head on. So here's a couple of things about death. One, it is inevitable. Every one of us have an end. It's imminent. It's inevitable for every single person who has ever lived or will ever live. It spares nobody. It can't be put off. It can't be pushed aside. It can't be kept out until a better time. Hebrews 9:27 says, "It is appointed unto man once to die, and then the judgment." There's no redos, there's no mulligans, there's no do-overs, there's no timeouts, there's no starting all over again. We can't push the pause button. It's a reality, it's an appointment for us all. It's inevitable. The second thing is it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. We can't escape it. It comes for both the wicked and the righteous. It comes for both good people and bad people. It comes for every single person. All of us will see death. It gets around to everyone eventually. It's a fate that becomes all of us. There's an appointed day for all of us. God ordains our days, and we can't really do much about that. We share a common destiny on earth, and that destiny is death, that we're going to face death. But we don't share a common destiny in eternity. We can choose our fate in eternity. Every one of us has to face death and decide what we're going to do with our eternity, what we're going to do with our mortality. If we trust Christ for salvation, that last enemy of death can be defeated forever. So how will I deal with death? Will I be a restful soul passing into the arms of Jesus, passing through heaven's gates? Or will I be a terrified person dropping into the unknown? Yeah, we talk about heaven and hell, but it's the same type of idea. Will we face death peacefully? Will we face death terrified? How do people deal with it? One way people deal with it is escape. This could be labeled denial. It's an attempt to block it out. It's an attempt to hide it, to outrun it, to black it out through alcohol, drugs, illicit sex, mindless entertainment, other things like that. Those things only distract from the battle, though. They don't actually allow us to really escape. We can't ignore it, and it just goes away. We just can't. We have to face our own mortality. We have to face that at some point our lives are going to end. And we face it head on with confidence by turning to Christ for salvation. So escape is one way to deal with it. Endurance is another way. Sometimes we just have to hold on. We just have to endure whatever is occurring. We just hang on and hold on to the hope that there's a better tomorrow. We can persevere. We can push through because there's life. And where there's life, there's hope. And as long as we're still standing, there's hope. And our ultimate hope is a reality we have because of Jesus. Our ultimate hope is in the reality of who Jesus is and what he's done. And the fact that we're citizens of heaven and we're strangers and aliens here, and that this is not our home. And so we can endure. One day we will die, but we can hold on and seize the opportunities that we have here. The third way that we can face it is to enjoy life while we can. If we belong to Christ, we can enjoy whatever time we have left. We can enjoy living life in the fullest sense now and embrace life as it is. Get up and live. Get up and enjoy life. Get up and have an extra bowl of ice cream or spend an extra hour at a sunset or whatever it might be. Quit living for the substitutes. Quit filling your schedule. Quit trying to find happiness in full schedules and pursuing new and more and quick fix stuff and all of that type of stuff. Every single day that we're given is a gift from God. We've been given it by God, and we need to celebrate it and make the most of it. Work hard, play hard, love hard, and live as if any day could be your last day. So enjoy life while you can. Second thing he talks about in this passage is that life is unpredictable. You might summarize it as something like this. Death plays to win, and life plays unfairly. It cheats. And the first thing he talks about along these lines is that our abilities don't ensure success. The best person isn't always rewarded. The best team, you could argue the best two teams aren't necessarily the two teams that are in the World Series right now. Being the best isn't the same as winning. It's not always the one that wins the college championship. March Madness is crazy. There's other factors that are out of our control, and we don't always like that. We're made for heaven where life is fair, but we live here on earth, and we have to settle for that where life isn't fair. So what the world may see as luck, what the world may see as chance, we can learn to see as God's providence, God's hand on everything that we deal with. We can trust his guidance. We can make decisions based on his will, not on our abilities, because that does not always ensure success. Second thing is that our opportunities don't guarantee success. Life is unfair, and sometimes people have short memories. And sometimes someone gets rewarded who shouldn't get rewarded, and someone doesn't get rewarded who should get rewarded. We often don't get appreciated. We often don't appreciate the people who deserve the credit. Get used to that. Life takes what you have, forgets you, and moves on sometimes. Sometimes life just kind of sticks it to us. We'll never experience heaven on earth as truly as we want to. Our opportunities don't guarantee success. You could summarize the end of this chapter by saying something that Solomon said many times over in the book of Ecclesiastes. Wisdom is worth pursuing. He gives an example, he gives an illustration, a fable-type story of sorts. And in the last two verses, he says that despite the fact that society may overlook and forget us, that quiet wisdom is so important and is better than weapons of war. We don't depend on explanations, but on promises. We don't depend on luck or chance, but on trust and faith. Wisdom is worth pursuing. The unfairness of death, the unfairness of life, will one day be swallowed up in the culmination of this great victory of Jesus over death and over this world. There's something and someone greater than this world, greater than this life, greater than how we experience this life and how we know this life. He was, and all the disciples were, treated unfairly in the most untimely and ultimate of ways. All the way to the cross for Jesus himself, he was treated unfairly. All the unfairness, all the injustice can be momentarily forgotten in the face of the obvious truth that God is near, God is in control, and God will ultimately make all things right. He alone turns graves into gardens.